technique, like I said, is just, I'm self-taught, but I really start with, you start with an empty canvas. Let's say for a portrait, which is a big part of what I do nowadays. I do my own paintings, but I also do a lot of commissions for people for portraits. That's because I always painted people, and I've always put people in my paintings. I use my kids for models. I use neighbors, my mom and dad. I mean, in some of the most ridiculous poses you're ever going to want to have to see or pose for. But from that, people said, hey, well, can you paint my children or my family? And that became to be one of the more popular things that I do. This is one of the portraits that I am working on right now. It's on the very beginning stages. It's drawn on. I do a little undercoating to get all the colors right. But really where it starts is that perfect photograph of the child, because that is what I'm going to work from. And that's where photography came in to be a big part of my art. I mean, at least 50% of my art for a portrait is how well can I capture that child or a family or whoever that is. I'll maybe take 20 or 30 photographs and until I get that perfect one. I'll get perfect 10, but I want to take the best out of the good 10. And I always go over it with the parents. I say, I love this one. What do you think? I mean, they're the parents, so they have to have the ultimate choice. And almost always we agree. The parents thought, yeah, that's really cute. After I've drawn this on, is I just go over in several layers, really. This is the undercoat, which is done in an acrylic paint. It's very loose. It's more like just getting some color down on it, like you would do with a car. Just do the undercoat, then paint the actual paint over it. Same principle is why when you paint a house, do you put a coat down on the wall and then you put another coat down? Because really some of the paint on the final step will show through. And you'll see some white of the canvas if I try to paint straight onto a white canvas. So I've already have the thing almost painted before I actually start painting. It's just a much looser, quicker version. Just so you know what she's looking at here is Tinker. She's walking through a forest. And she has that look on her face like, oh wow. Well, it takes me 2 or 3 hours of actual time to just undercoat it, but many, many more hours than that when I actually put the oil paint on. So it's worth the extra time to paint it once in acrylic and then go over it again later with oil. Here we have, which I think it's already noticeable, we've got snowy Rocky Mountains, yet at the same time they're going to be some running horses. I'm actually painting an oil paint that where I get very specific with the colors and the shading. And shading's always been a very big thing for me. I didn't really want to show brush strokes, I wanted to look like, the effect I was trying to make was, it's, you could really feel like it's real, but yet it's not real. So it really makes you feel like, you could walk into this painting and actually be there. I just didn't want it to have the painting look, And that's kind of the effect I've gone for ever since. So I've learned to shade very smoothly one thing into the next thing. And I use only oil to mix the paint with. So it's just a matter of getting the paint probably like a butter. Not too thin or it runs, and not too thick or it gobs up. So you just want, it's, with practice I've learned second nature, the perfect mix of how much oil to mix with the oil paint so that I can get it thick enough but yet shade it very smoothly and get that feeling that it's real, but the subject matters that I'm painting, aren't real. It's really when it comes down to the last final details, the little brush here is where I kind of put it all together. And that brings it to life. It's a little bit flat, to me anyway, until I put the final touches, like on a car, those little chrome pieces, the little decals, the little whatever, suddenly all comes to life. And the lighting and the shadows are the most important. It all starts with a light source, and everything that's going to give it the three-dimensional look and the realism is going to be the light reflecting and where the shadows are going to be. So the things I'm saying are not rocket science. It's really, if you look at nature, let that be the art director, you know. That's what I do. I go out there and I look at nature and I see, how is the light going? What do things look like when they're distant, you know? What does make things look realistic, and, you know, what's the best lighting on a child to make that child look, you know, the most appealing, you know, in their natural habitat. And when I photograph a child, I never say, here, pose, here, model for me, stand there and do that. I just say, let the kid run wild, splash some water on him, throw him up in the air. I've even taken, I've had relatives cut out cardboard or boogie board cutouts of a fin and put them on their back, strap them on with a rope, and tell the parent, put the kid on your back, now you're going to jump up and down. You're the dolphin. You know, don't worry about me as the camera, but play with that kid, make them feel like they're riding a dolphin. You know, catch them flying off and, you know, throw some water at them and do whatever you got to do. You know, put a fan on them, get their hair blowing. My advice to aspiring artists are, don't do it unless it's really what you are determined to want to do. You have to want to do it. It's not something you get into like a dentist or a lawyer or something, what you might consider a more practical profession. You know, you do it because you're going to do it no matter what. And that's probably the only way you're really going to make it, I believe. And the way I did, I'm one artist, I'm self-taught, but what got me through is really painting from the heart. You know, paint what you really want to paint. I will say I balance that a little bit with what's commercial. I mean, I try to think, what does this gallery want? What are these, you know, what does sell? But at the same time, how can I do it in a style that's I'm interested in? How can I, because I want to do a painting, I want to sit here for, you know, hours. I want to feel good about what I'm doing. I sometimes want to forget about who's going to buy it, if it's going to sell, and I just want to do something that's, I really think I'm interested in seeing. And the thing is, that's the paintings that are going to be the best. The ones you do because you want to do it are the ones that end up selling. And the ones I do that I think I better do because this is what sells, I mean, things start to fall flat. They really lose their quality. And I've learned that. Just go ahead and, you know, you're better off just taking a chance, throwing some stuff out there like the only person in the world that's ever going to see it is you. Because, you know, the funny thing is, you'll probably sell better. So, after 4 decades of painting, I say, what the heck, let's go for another 4 decades. So stay tuned.
Against the wind.